We're going to look at the top trends from week 1 for the running backs. We're going to use next-gen stats. You can use this for the waiver wire, trades, setting lineups. Well, we're looking at what just happened this week with these running backs. The key story here is the new running backs with their new teams and how they're handling the workload. We got a few rookies in here, a few young guys, but mainly the key storyline of this week. How did those veteran running backs do with their new team? We also got a couple surprises. We're going to go over that today. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're going to go hard in the paint, covering the waiver wire this week. Starting a little bit right now, just a little sprinkle. And then the advanced metrics, they're going to start rolling in. We're going to deep dive the stats. We're going to help you set your lineups. We're going to deep dive these players too. The guys who are on top of the waiver wire. The guys who are just making waves right now on social media. It'll all be right here. Click that button. Stop missing out. The first running back we're talking about today, Bucky Irving. We talked about in this offseason in the You Need series where we talk about all the rookies pretty much going into the season. And then after that, we're just talking about the trending players, the trending guys off waivers, the trending guys making waves in fantasy football. But Bucky Irving, what I said, he's good between the tackles. He's also good at catching the ball out of the backfield. And he's a good pair with Rachaad White. This is like a 1A, 1B situation, getting opportunity. Also, you want to note the game script. The Bucs were up early in this game. They were scoring, and they were at liberty to use Bucky Irving a little bit more. He got 9 attempts, 62 yards, 6.89 yards per carry, catching 3 balls, though. The thing about this, he got workload. He's proved that he can perform on the NFL field. He's a guy to take notice on. He's a good lottery ticket. He's a good lottery ticket. You take lottery tickets on these young guys, especially these young running backs who are the RB2 on their team. And if they get a little pop, they're going to get a little bit more because they were drafted for a reason and they're starting to live up to their draft capital and they're turning things around. He's turning things around rather quickly. If something happens to Rachaad White, he's going to get a lot of touches. He's going to be using the passing game, and then we will probably have to have a unique video on him and then another one on Sean Tucker. But Kyren Williams is getting the workload. We did a few videos on the workload here. A lot of people were worried about Kyren Williams due to him being on the punt team, receiving punts, just receiving a couple punts a game. Twitter melted that night. Twitter melted, and then I did the video on it, talking about it, the good, the bad, the ugly on top of that, and I said he's going to get a lot of workload. Best if it was scaled back a little bit. Didn't really get scaled back. 91% of the snaps, 18 rush attempts, 3 targets. We got the work. We got the work. It's looking like last year. And why is that? So thinking about this coaching staff, and I analyze this coaching staff a lot on this channel, they like dependency. They want their running backs, all their players, they want to depend on them. They want them to run the plays correctly. They want them to be in their spots. They want to count on them. They want pass protection. They want to catch the balls out of the backfield. Kyren Williams is the poster child of a dependable player to them. And the reason why he's returning punts is because he's dependable. You want a guy back there that's dependable. You want a guy back there running back and blitz pickup, running between the tackles, seeing the hole, catching the ball in the backfield. That's dependable. You can count on. Think about Cam Akers. Look at what he did in preseason with the Texans, coming back from that injury, and how good he did just with the odds stacked against him. Now you're looking at Kyren Williams. They put Cam Akers in the doghouse. Cam Akers, talent through the roof. Kyren Williams, dependable, gritty, good between the tackles, can get it done. That's what you're looking at with Kyren Williams. He's going to get touches till the wheels fall off. The thing about Blake Corum, he did not get used. But if this continues like every other season prior to this, the wheels are going to fall off for some weeks. And then it's going to be Blake Corum time. Miles Sanders. Now you're like, Bruce, what are you talking about? This is stupid. Do not show me Miles Sanders again. And I'm not showing you Miles Sanders. I'm showing you that, 1, the Panthers are jacked up. And 2, they are using Miles Sanders, which is impacting Chuba Hubbard. And I noted that in the You Need video. I noted, like, hey, they don't care. This is a new coaching staff. Miles Sanders is healthy now. He was dealing with a groin injury last year, and I showed you the injury reports on that. That was prior to the season. He missed 10 days of practice. Then he popped back up middle of the season, like week 5, and that caused him to miss some time, miss some practices, and that lingers. A groin injury just doesn't fix. It just doesn't fix. Now he's getting touches. There's ramifications to that. Chuba is going to lose some of that workload, and Chuba was not a super efficient running back last year. You look at the metrics for that, he was like middle of the road at best. But now we got a committee here on a team that's going to be trailing games because they did not look good. So do you want this backfield? Do you want Jonathan Brooks, and you're going to pray that he can get some workload? Jonathan Brooks is good in the passing game, so he's going to be getting some dump offs when he comes back. So if you're in game scripts like this, it's all right for fantasy if he's getting those dump offs. There's a lot of potential for that, and he's a lot more electric. You're just waiting for Jonathan Brooks here, and you're going to play money ball with these 2 running backs in daily fantasy football. You're not going to feel confident with them in redraft. Zach Moss got the touches, and going back to Kyren Williams, what these teams want is dependability back there at the running back position. Zach Moss screams dependency. You can trust him in pass pro, between the tackles. He's not overly flashy. He's not ever going to be the fastest guy on the field, but he's gritty. He is gritty. But 4.89 yards per carry yesterday. Got the touchdown. It was an ugly game. It was nasty. And when the game script's going to be nasty, when players are going to be hurt, when things are going to be sus, Zach Moss is going to be back there, especially when that's happening. Chase Brown was out there. He was getting some opportunity, but the split was like 60-40. Zach Moss is going to be the guy getting touches till he's not. Chase Brown will probably have his games because he was out there enough to where he could pop out a few, and he's got the speed and athleticism to do so. Zach Moss grinding around the goal line, getting touches, getting workload. Is it going to amount to a lot of fantasy points? It's probably going to have to cross the goal line a lot. He's done that with the Colts a little bit last year. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay rolling. This team's got to do better. This team's got to do better. They got to be a faster-paced team. This is a slower-paced offense. Between plays, they run off a lot of clock. They got to stop doing that. They got to be faster-paced for us for fantasy football, and they may need to start doing that overall in general because they're just not getting it done. Joe Mixon got the work, and there were people saying he was dust, saying he was done, people worried about the injury. 30 carries in a game against the Colts. Got 3 targets using the passing game. So he's really hitting around the same kind of target threshold he was in Cincinnati. Maybe even more workload on a team that can move the football. And he was a good early, mid-ish pick in fantasy drafts. James Cook got the work. But you also want to note the Cardinals was a run funnel defense last year. The Bills had like 2 passing attempts in the middle of the second quarter. It was heavily noted on that. Slower paced game to start things off when it comes to passing, especially with the Bills on their side. And then they had to ramp it up in the back half of the game. And then James Cook got a lot of work because they game planned for that. Cook getting to work here with 19 carries is very promising that he's going to get workload and opportunities. On top of that, I don't see him being able to hold up a full 17-game season. Ray Davis, infinitesimal amount of work, but still, you're watching this over the long haul. He'll be the one to be back eventually. Eventually, they're going to have to mix things up. James Cook, watch the volume in different matchups here because teams are going to look to run against the Cardinals. That's what the Bills did, and looks like James Cook just benefited from a good matchup. Tony Pollard, 18 fantasy points. Got runs all over the place, 82 yards, 1 touchdown. The lone bright spot in this matchup, really, Will Levis sucked. Caleb Williams sucked. The passing offenses on both teams sucked. He is the lone bright spot. He's got some pop. And the thing about this Titans offense, you're not really going to trust it. You're not going to trust Tony Pollard on any start sits. But here we go, getting 16 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown. We're getting 4 targets in the passing game. There's opportunity here. He's got good size, just athleticism. But it's just going to be hard week to week. But you know it's there. We saw it this week. DeAndre Swift, 10 carries, 30 yards. The one thing I noted prior to going into week 1, I just did not see Caleb Williams just checking it down to a running back. Any running back, let alone DeAndre Swift. We did not see that, USC. You damn sure did not see that yesterday. He was looking to push it downfield. If not, he was going to run around the backfield. So, again, DeAndre Swift his value is tethered to targets and his usage in the passing game, and that was not happening. Bijan Robinson getting workload wasn't horribly efficient. The Steelers locked him up, had him corralled, but he did get 18 carries. He did not get Arthur Smith. So there's going to be some upside going forward. He's going to get some opportunities in better matchups. This was a slow matchup. This was predicted by Vegas to be a low-scoring game. You had Justin Fields in, so when he's running and when he's getting sacked 50 times in a game, that's going to run off more clock. And Kirk Cousins was not living up to the billing. He wasn't moving the ball through the air. It just wasn't happening, just like a bunch of quarterbacks yesterday. But again, the grass is going to be greener later on down the road. Saquon Barkley was getting workload and opportunities, and they're going to use him. He's going to be a big-time threat until he gets banged up, if that happens. But he's going to get a lot of work. He's going to be using the passing game, and he's going to be a big part of this offense. Josh Jacobs is going to get a lot of workload, but now with Love out, you're kind of tepid on that. But we know the touches are going to be there. The opportunity is going to be there. They're going to be in different matchups where he's going to be able to hit on that. But right now, you're kind of leery, but you're going to chase that workload anyways. Same with Derrick Henry, but there were some runs. He kind of looked a little crusty. Kind of was getting stood up a little bit where he shouldn't. When you're 6'2", 247 with that size-adjusted athleticism, you really shouldn't. 3.54 yards per carry. The Chiefs, good on defense. Very solid against the pass. Very locked down on that. Good against the run. And you're going to see him do better and better matchups. That just wasn't the greatest matchup. It was a good matchup overall for volume, for scoring overall points. But independently for the players involved, it was very sketchy and hard to really predict any of the Ravens because you know it could be locked down. You know things could be funneled. That's why you're seeing a guy like Isaiah Likely blow up. He's a get off the waiver wire if you need in a tight end. A guy to look at if you're looking for upside at the tight end spot. But those are 12 trends at the running back position from week 1. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.